Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad, who left, that I don't remember him? Original post. I'm 15 female and my father is 46 male. My dad left the family when I was 7 without any explanation. He just vanished one day, and I've never seen him since. He left because of relationship issues with my mom. She was heartbroken and waited 5 years for him to return, but in the end filed for divorce. Thankfully, she's over him now. To be honest, now, 8 years after he left, I barely have any memory of him. Only resentment for the years of suffering he put my mom and sister, 19 female, through. They tried to contact him, but did never respond. I can't even remember his voice, personality, or even face much. Then last week, he texted my mother and said he wanted to meet, after 8 years of disappearance. My mom agreed. We arranged a meetup at a nearby restaurant. My sister was so nervous but excited, but I realized I felt nearly nothing. He arrived and my mom and sister started crying. He cried too, at the sight of his beloved daughters. He saw that I looked quite emotionless and said, "Don't you miss your dad?" I replied honestly that I didn't remember him. He left so long and it's like I barely knew him. He was so shocked and hurt. Eventually, he cut off our meetup early, claiming he had to work. My mom and sister were so mad. They blamed it on me. My mom said that my sister has been waiting to see her dad for so long, but I had to make a stupid remark and make him leave a second time, asking how I could behave like this towards my dad, telling me that I'm a selfish witch and an a-hole. I'm sorry that I cut the meetup short because I knew my sister missed him so damn much. But to be honest, I don't feel bad for saying the truth. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. If he's going to leave again because his daughter told him the truth, they're better off with him gone. Exactly. If his response was anything but apologetic when you said that to him, then he's still a loser. You're better off spending time with people who want to treat you well. Not the a-hole. Right? He should have apologized profusely instead of calling her selfish. He is the selfish one, not the a-hole. OP's reaction is completely normal and warranted. And anyone expecting anything else can only be disappointed. Honestly, after all those years, I wouldn't call her unreasonable if she doesn't want to see him as her dad. OP's dad left when she was 7 and met her again at 15, which means she spent more than half of her life without him there. He left before any lasting memories of him can be formed, and only returned when OP's character/personality had been fully solidified. Basically, he wasn't there for any event that OP can remember clearly or can impact her life/her as a person significantly so far. It's no wonder why she doesn't remember him. I found it less surprising than the fact that her dad still expects a warm welcome after 8 years and all their struggles. Honestly, OP's reaction is the least surprising, suspicious, or concerning thing about this whole encounter. Dad's response and mom/sister's reaction was way more eyebrow-raising. I mean, seriously. First, about the dad. Why did he, after 8 years of giving zero care about his wife and daughters, asking for a meetup? His beloved daughters. It's almost like he had no contact with them for nearly a decade. I feel like he only came back because he needs/wants something from OP's mom, and is trying to manipulate her and their kids into letting him back in so he could get what he wants. It's pretty obvious. If he genuinely cared about bonding again or repairing his relationships, he would have apologized and certainly would not get mad at OP for her reasonable reaction. Second, OP's mom and sister's reactions. If the mom is A, crying over dad leaving again, and B, is shifting blame to OP instead of holding dad, the one truly at fault, accountable. I don't think she's over her racks as OP thought. She waited for 5 years before accepting the truth and moving on with her life. There's clearly very, very deep-seated issues here and they haven't been addressed, much less resolved. Not the a-hole. You're the selfish one? He walked out with no explanation when you were only 7, and shows up 8 years later thinking everything is going to be all okay and yet you are selfish for not remembering him? I'm in shock. I'm even more shocked that your mom and sister are with him on the playing happy family in a sense, rather than ripping him a new one for what he did. Someone made a very good point that the dad was gone from OP's life longer than he has been there. It makes total sense that he wouldn't be remembered. Yeah, poor little old dad. How could his daughter not remember and miss him after he abandoned his family when she was 7? Not the a-hole. And now for the update. Hi, it's me again, but now I'm 1 year older. And a bit wiser, I hope. It's been a few months since I initially posted, so here's an update on how my life's going. First, I no longer feel bad about making my dad leave the meetup, since he somehow reconciled with both my mom and sister. Here's how it happened. In mid-April, he came to our house to see my sister on her birthday. He bought a ton of gifts and said a lot of sappy words, which of course won my mom and sister over. He tried to talk to me, calling me his darling baby and precious little girl. However, when he realized that I truly did not see him as a father, he left. In June, he visited again. I confronted him and asked why he suddenly wanted to be so involved in the family after leaving for 8 years. He said that he never forgot about us and always felt so guilty about leaving, that he needed to see us again because we were the most important people in his life. I demanded to know why he left then. His exact answer was, "Baby, when I was in a relationship with your mom, things got difficult. Things like that happen in relationships and Daddy needed a break. It doesn't mean Daddy doesn't love you." I thought it was utter BS. I said, "If you needed a break, you could have talked things out with Mom. You could have even filed for divorce. But instead, you walked out and left without a trace, like a freaking coward." He tried to convince me that I wouldn't understand these kinds of things, but I wouldn't hear him out. He dodged my questions and eventually got so frustrated that he left again. In July, which is my birthday month, he visited on my birthday. In a very passive-aggressive manner, he said he wanted to take my sister and mom out to a restaurant to catch up with Daddy. My sister asked, "You are not taking her, me, too?" He responded, "Opie's very temperamental with Daddy. Can you tell her that Daddy loves her? She won't understand." I find it very weird and slightly disturbing that he is still talking to us like we're little kids, despite me being 16 and my sister being 20. My sister and mom were hesitant about leaving without me, but eventually they went. They came home to celebrate my birthday with me, but I still thought it was hurtful they went in the first place. Our family hasn't heard from Dad all August, despite my sister trying to reach out to him. Of course, they are putting the blame on me for giving him the cold shoulder. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. By the way, I'm so thankful to all the commenters. If it weren't for them, I'd probably be still feeling guilty and sad. Have a great day. They went out with him. Without you? On your birthday? That's cold. On her 16th birthday on top of that. Mom doesn't sound much better than Dad. And the older sister is 20 yet pulling this nonsense. There's something seriously wrong with your father. I'm so sorry. I hope you have support and counseling. I think there's something seriously wrong with her mother. That the woman can take her other child and went to dinner with an ex-husband who walked out on her years ago on her daughter's birthday. She left birthday daughter behind by choice. Father didn't make her do it. That blows my mind. This woman is literally choosing to side with a man who ruined her family, rather than the daughter who is, rightly so, struggling to form a bond with a man she barely knows. This speaks volumes, that her mother never got over her husband leaving her, that her mother is more desperate to stay on this man's good side than protect her own child, and that her mother probably will not stand up for her in any way if her father were to return to their family. Her mother is a piece of work, and everyone is just blaming the father. Your dad is manipulative and abusive. He is gaslighting the whole family, and it is sad your mom and sister are falling for it. He will disappear and try to blame you. He is never at fault. Correct. He is now angling for something. Either he wants a signature from Mom, or Mom has a relative about to kick the bucket. He has an ulterior motive. Something has happened to bring him back into your life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for explaining to my half-brother why mine and my brother's dad isn't his dad? My parents divorced when my mom cheated. My brother was 9 at a time and I was 8. Mom cheated and got pregnant. After Dad left her while she was pregnant, he did a DNA test when my half-brother was born and confirmed he was not a father. My half-brother's bio dad was married as well, and his wife would only forgive him if he had nothing to do with my half-brother. They ended up moving and I guess staying out of the view of the courts, so I never paid any child support or had contact with my half-brother. My dad is not in his life. I know that's controversial for a lot of people, even people we know, but my brother and I never felt like he was doing the wrong thing. We knew our half-brother wasn't Dad's, and we knew people with step-families where the two sides didn't mix. But Mom always felt bad that he had ruined our half-brother's life. She had no male family members, and my brother always has kind of hated our half-brother for being born, not going to lie. So he has all girls/women but no male figures. It makes me feel bad for him, but I still don't think it's my dad's job. but Mom does. She has told my half-brother that my dad is technically his dad because he is mine and my brother's dad. So over the years, he has sought out my dad, and there are times where he's kind of figured they're not actually dad and son, but he has asked my dad if he would be his dad, since he doesn't have one. Yeah, it's sad. My dad has told my mom to fix it, but she just wants to pressure him to do more. He's asked me several times if I could help him get my dad to love him. It's always awkward because I won't ever do that, but I also don't want to hurt him since he's still so young. Recently, he has bought more into the idea that dad is his dad too and is a deadbeat to him. Mom told me she stands by that thinking 100%, and my dad is the a-hole in all of this. It came up again with him, and Mom was agreeing with him. I called her out and told her to tell the truth and fix it, but she refused. So I told him it was like his best friend's family, where his best friend has Alex as a dad, but his mom is married to Mark and has kids with him. I said it was the same for us. He was so hurt and asked Mom why she didn't give him a better dad. And Mom kicked me out. I'm 18 and don't live with her, and told me I was a nasty witch who broke my brother's heart, instead of going after a grown man who could have been loving enough to take on his own kid's sibling who had done nothing wrong and is the most innocent person in all of this. She also said she knows I don't consider him a real brother, and that it's horrible he doesn't even have siblings who love him unconditionally. I know my half-brother is still pretty devastated by it all, which is why I wonder if I'm the a-hole here. Am I? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Neither is your dad, your brother, or half-brother. Everyone else is, especially your mom. She is making a no-win situation and then trying to manipulate your dad into being her youngest son's dad. She is hurting everyone more in the process. It is not your half-brother's fault he doesn't have a father figure, but that doesn't mean your dad has to take on a responsibility that is not his. Your mom needs to step up and own up to it. Your brother is now 10, so old enough to understand. I'm sorry you were caught in the middle. Every time I see this, I'm shocked. I still don't get it. How do you cheat on your spouse, have a kid with the affair partner, and then expect the person you wronged to take on a product of your affair? How do you begin to think this is acceptable, much less expected? The same way you find it acceptable to cheat on your partner, sometimes people are just a-holes. Not the a-hole, your mother is the a-hole. This is her way of refusing to take responsibility for cheating on your father and ultimately betraying your family. She wants to make your father the villain, because if he is, I suppose somehow that makes her less guilty, at least in her own eyes. You gave your half-brother the truth, something he has been sorely lacking. In truth, you did nothing wrong. You just did what your mother was either too scared or too selfish to do. Your half-brother is in a real lousy situation and I feel for him. I also think it's wrong for your brother to blame him for being born, when your mother and the a-hole she cheated with are to blame. I hope he finds people who will give him the love and affection he is wanting so badly someday. Putting responsibility on someone else seems to be her MO. She knows Opie's half-brother is seeking approval from someone he'll never get it from, by no fault of his own and encouraging a false belief, because it gets her off the hook. She blames Opie for taking the band-aid off and telling the truth. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sisters I won't choose them over our dad? My parents had 4 children together. My sister Amy, my brother Luke, my sister Sarah, and then me. Until 2019, we had no idea there was this deep, dark family secret lurking underneath the surface, until a series of events happened. We discovered our father was not our biological father, and this was something he didn't know either. We ended up doing paternity tests with the hope that it wasn't true, but it was. Amy and Luke share a sperm donor while Sarah and I share one. Our mother claimed she knew Dad was infertile, or at least was not able to get her pregnant, after years of struggling to conceive and having tests done on herself. So she decided to secretly get babies by sleeping with men, one of them being our father's own brother, who is the donor for me and Sarah. Dad wanted a divorce right away. He was furious. He was heartbroken. He was all sorts of things. And my sisters were telling him how he should look at it as sperm donation, and how we just had another dad out there who could be good for us, etc. Dad said it made it worse. My sisters were not happy. They tried everything to talk Dad out of the divorce, even saying his divorcing mom was saying he wasn't glad he got us out of the bad situation. Luke and I are the only 2 who wanted nothing to do with Mom or with the sperm donors. Our sisters didn't like that and turned on Dad, saying he should be encouraging us and embracing this as just another part of our family. He confided in me that he feels like less of a dad because he's not just our dad but one of them, because someone else made us. Someone else will always come into it. I told him as far as I was concerned, he's the only dad I have, and as a daddy's girl, I could never have a relationship with someone else like ours. My dad has not spoken to that brother since, which made things even worse with Sarah, who asked him to allow her to have both her dads being good with each other. Amy and Sarah's relationship with Luca is not good, and now we've had a big fight. Amy and Sarah said Dad is selfish and an a-hole for what he's done, and claimed he never really loved us if he can't be happy for us expanding his family. We disagreed. They said we should not be talking to someone who actively doesn't want the best for us and our newfound families. I told them I totally understood Dad, and to me, he was my only dad. Luke agreed. They said we couldn't expect them to be around him after he showed how little he truly loves them. I told them I would not choose them over Dad, so forget it. They were hurt and I get it. They told us we were breaking the family apart and we were refusing to see the positive. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. However she wants to frame it, your mom cheated on your dad and got pregnant 4 times. And not everyone gets pregnant the first time they try for a baby. So Christ knows how many people she's had unprotected activities with whilst she was with your dad. Apart from this being cheating, then there's the risk of STIs which she presented to your father without his knowledge. And how does she know he had a low sperm count if he's never been tested? She wanted to cheat, and she's using this as a rather feeble excuse. Not the a-hole, and standing with your dad is totally the right thing to do. My heart breaks for how he must feel, that all of you aren't with him in this. As for him feeling like less of a dad, he's so much more. Not the a-hole. Sperm donation is done with the full consent and knowledge of all parties. What your mother did is more commonly known as cheating. She is the a-hole in all of this, and the main person responsible for breaking 2 families apart. Yours and your father's, since I highly doubt that he will be speaking with his brother anytime soon. And his brother was married with a family when this happened. Just so much broken now.